Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining me again, my name is Swadik Mayanja, but you can call me Q, and I am Q the nurse, and we are on another episode of the Everyday Hero Show, where I bring you someone in my life or someone in your life that brings us joy and happiness, but does not get the credit that they deserve. Today, ladies and gentlemen, nurses everywhere, I have Nurse Liz on the show. Thank you so very much for coming on.
Of course. Hi. Nice to meet you guys. Nice to be here with you.
Wonderful. I'm happy that you're here. So for just to give a real mini, I did my little bit of research on who Nurse Liz is. Nurse Liz is an advanced practicing registered nurse. She's a family nurse practitioner. She was, I don't know if she still is, but I do know that she was a travel PICU nurse, and she is the founder of Scrub Life Dreaming, which is a whole lot of things going on in her nursing life. And that is why, my friend, she's on the show, so she can share some of this greatness with the rest of us. So starting from the get, Nurse Liz,
Yes.
do me this favor. Tell me your origin story. Where are you from? And then tell me real quick why nursing, and then we'll get into the details in a little bit.
Yes, of course. So I'm originally from Houston, Texas, born and raised there. Where I come from is a low socioeconomic community. My family is originally from Mexico, and so growing up, I would always see poverty, not only, in Mexico. Here in the U.S., it was just mainly just low socioeconomic, so nothing compared to poverty, of course. So my origination always began with, like, I want to give back. I want to be that person to ultimately be the voice for the people who don't have a voice, be the education and bring forth education to a community and to hopefully to the rural communities and to the countries that actually need it. So why a nurse? My aunt was actually a nurse in Mexico. At the age of 15, she actually ended up passing away, and she passed away from medical malpractice. So that really touched me, really hit me hard. And I knew that I had to be that provider that would not allow for that to happen again. So this was obviously preventable. She had initially gone in for surgery of colon cancer. They ultimately ended up leaving an instrument inside of her during the surgery. Post-surgery, they couldn't figure out what was going on, ended up dying from sepsis. And then obviously, post-mortem, they did the autopsy and found that there was an instrument left inside. So that
my God! Well,
hit me exactly. Yeah.
So right off the bat, Liz, I'm so sorry. That's rough. That's just horrific. I don't want to go into the depths of that because it's a sad thing to talk about. But if you don't mind me asking, was she on the younger side? Was she on the older side?
No, she was young. She was in her 30s. So
oh my God!
Exactly.
I am so sorry.
And that's so okay.
And how old were you when all of this happened?
So I was 15 years old. So that soon inspired me to go on and obtain my CNA. I knew that I wanted to be in the medical field. Didn't necessarily know what path, whether I was going to be a doctor. Someone then later introduced me into the nurse practitioner route, and that's ultimately the route that I chose to take. But so 15, that happened. At 16 years old, with that burning, still pain, but love, I knew that I had to go and try to push myself.
Congratulations. My goodness. That's a reason to become a healthcare provider. Good for you, Liz. My goodness.
I know.
And I'm over here just picking random majors at a catalog at a college. So you were meant to do what you were meant to do, and I can say that honestly because you have taken this career that is nursing and you have allowed it to sprout into something amazing. Like, you have taken this to an entirely different level, which I love. Obviously, you see me hardcore on the social because I love to share my love for nursing with the world, and you just are the epitome of what a nurse should be, and I love that. So let's get into the details. So you became a nurse. So right out of high school, you went to college. Did you do the associate's degree program straight to BSN? Did you do just a regular nursing program and then went straight into your master's? How was your nursing education? How did that process go?
So ultimately, I knew what I wanted to do, obviously. I had chosen my career path at 17. I chose the nurse practitioner route versus the doctor route specifically because I knew that I wanted to, because my mentor at the time was like, well, what is your ultimate goal? What do you want to do? I'm like, I honestly just want to own a clinic. I want to be able to give back to the community that helped to raise me. That's what I truly want to do. And so she's like, well, did you know that NPs exist? I'm like, nurse practitioner, what is that? She's like, as a nurse practitioner, you are allowed to open up a clinic and you basically have the same functionality that a doctor does. You order labs, you see your patients, you diagnose them, you refer them. And so I knew clearly what my goal was. So straight after high school, I went straight for my BSN. Was it easy? No, because I came from a low socioeconomic community where, you know, education was not appreciated. I was not prepared for college. First semester in college, I had like a 2.0 GPA. Like it was just bad. What I was supposed to have already come with the knowledge, I was trying to learn on top of what they are teaching during the school. So it was definitely hard. But I managed to catch up by doing mini semesters, summer semesters, and just, you know, obviously the passion that I had fueled it. I was like, there's no way that I'm going to allow it to, you know, hinder me. So got my bachelor's at the age of 21. And then after that, I got my dream job. I got accepted, got the offer letter to work at a, what's called MD Anderson Children's Cancer Hospital. So I work with kids.
I'm sorry, this is still in Texas, right? This is in Texas?
Texas, exactly.
Okay.
So fortunately, this is kind of a perk that I learned later on. Many of the hospitals, you know, who are magnet status or maybe even not, but for sure in Houston, they offer you money to go back to school and become, you know, whatever it is. If you want to be an APRN in education or a nurse practitioner, they offer you that money. So that definitely helped me a lot towards going back to school. So I had about 8 months of experience whenever I applied to become, to get into the NP program. And then by the time I actually started the nurse practitioner program, I had a year and a couple of months in. So, yeah. So
you weren't playing around, Liz, huh? Straight to it.
I knew what the end goal was. So I was like, there's no need to waste time.
I respect it. I wish I knew what the end goal was. All right. So Liz, there's a few things that you touched upon that I think is super important. Number one, and I think this is the fact that you're so self-aware just makes me smile, right? Because I love that you are comfortable enough and you are in a place where you know yourself well enough to actually say that I was a shitty student. And obviously it wasn't by choice. It's obviously, right, you said you were working twice as hard. You were trying to catch up with the rest of the nursing students. You just didn't have the knowledge because of the background, because of the public schools that you went to. And on top of that, you had to take extra classes, the summer classes, the extra classes throughout the semester. So all of that stuff is really important. And I always say that. I say that because I too, not the same exact situation, but I went to an associate's degree program, and it wasn't because of the schooling. It was straight laziness. I was just a bad student. I just tried to take everything. I never studied. I just went to class, and I failed my first semester of nursing school, right? I got back into it, took it more seriously, and went through it. I'm happy that we're talking about this, and we're definitely going to get back to talking about this, just because everyone is getting back to school. So I would love to get into the the nitty-gritty of how you work through all of that crazy, difficult times. I think it's just super important, and the timing is perfect. Another thing that you mentioned that I really want to talk about is exactly. No one ever talks about being a nurse practitioner until you become a nurse. Once you become a nurse, everyone and their mother wants to talk about nurse practitioners. But before I became a nurse, I had no idea that was a career. It is crazy to me. I just think once I became a nurse, I was like, why didn't anyone tell me this, right? Why didn't anyone tell me this? That mentorship thing that you have going on is great. Okay.
Thank you.
So let's talk. So you went, you mentioned that you wanted to get your advanced practice. I, to this day, still do not know what the difference is between an APRN and an NP. What is the difference? Is there a difference? Was it like you went to school, you got your advanced practitioner's registered nurse license, and then you had to get an NP license? How does that work?
Okay, so APRN is similar to your RN license. Okay, so APRN stands for Advanced Practice Registered Nurse.
Yes.
So there's different forms that people go by. There's APRN, they go by APN, Advanced Practice Nurse. They could switch it up, and it varies by state as well, the name. But that title basically says that you're an advanced practice nurse. That can either be an MSN or a doctorate as well. So the F&P portion of it, that is added within the curriculum. So APRN, that just means you either have a master's or a doctorate. And you obtain that credential after you pass your examination, so that you could be a nurse practitioner and be an APRN, you could be a nurse educator, be an APRN, you can be anything with a graduate degree, you're an APRN. Now you add on to it what your specific program was. So for me, I was a family nurse practitioner, so it's APRN F&P.
Okay.
So if you were APRN, you nurse educator, I don't know that they go by any other, no, I think they're just APRN.
Yeah.
They don't have anything after that because they're not nurse. They're just nurse educators.
Yes.
But if they're like CRNAs, then it'll be APRN CRNA. Similar.
So what you're saying is, thank you guys again so much for listening to just the beginning of this interview. I promise you guys, you want to listen to the rest of this, especially if you'd like to know any information about being a nurse practitioner. I mean, we go into the deets. I mean, she talks about how much patients she gets. She talks about her pay. She goes down a whole lot. It's very. Thank you so much, Nurse Liz, for coming on. I think it was fabulous. Just learned so much. Again, these Skype calls, these Skype interviews are super rough for me. The quality of the videos are super shitty. But it also gives me a reason to push the podcast. So please go listen to the podcast. It's much easier than just sitting down and watching us talk. You can listen to us while you do whatever you do. Go ahead. Link's going to be down in the box, in the description box below. Click it. Go watch the podcast. Go listen to the podcast. It's phenomenal. If you're a nurse, it's phenomenal. And then more than just being a nurse, at the end of the interview, she talks a whole lot about her nonprofit organization, Scrub Life Dreaming, and it's beautiful. It really is. It's a beautiful thing. So yeah, thank you guys again. Catch you later. And just last little bit, if and when you do listen to the podcast, please rate and subscribe. So subscribe and rate it. So if you think it was great, if you enjoyed, if you want to get some more, give me the 5 stars. If not, give me the 1 star. But just let me know why you rated the way you rated it. Thank you guys again. And I hope you go listen and enjoy all of the goodies that Nurse Liz has to offer.